Hello students, today we are moving to the main part of the neural control and coordination chapter, that is the types of nervous system. So the nervous system, how can it be divided? See, first of all, there are two types of nervous system we have in our whole body. So first we have two types of nervous system. One is called as the peripheral nervous system. So this is the peripheral nervous system, and then we have the central nervous system. Okay, so nervous system is broadly divided into two. One is peripheral and another is the central nervous system. So in the peripheral nervous system, once again there are two types of peripheral nervous system we have. One is the autonomic nervous system, and then we have the somatic neural system. Okay, so peripheral nervous system is divided into, first of all we'll see how it's divided. Once again, if it is central nervous system, then we have two parts in the central nervous system. One is brain and another is the spinal cord. Okay, next thing, if it is the autonomic neural system, it is once again divided into two types. One is the sympathetic neural system, and the another is the parasympathetic neural system. If it is the somatic neural system, then once again we have the two types of nerves. One is the cranial nerves, and the second one is called as the spinal nerves. Okay, so let's just see if this is the nervous system. These are the parts or the types of nervous system. So let's just see from the first. So see, what is it? If it comes to the types of nervous system, first thing, if it is the peripheral nervous system, it is present on the periphery. I will roughly draw this diagram. Suppose it is in case of human nervous system, then what we have, the brain. So this is the brain and this is the spinal cord. So from the brain and the spinal cord, this will constitute the central nervous system, which is present centrally. The elongation of the brain, this will form the spinal cord, right? So that makes the central nervous system. Now the peripheral nervous system, which is arising from the central nervous system and somehow it is associated with the central nervous system, that will be called as the peripheral nervous system, that is present on the periphery of our body. So this peripheral nervous system is broadly divided into two types. One is the autonomic and another is the somatic neural system. So if it is the peripheral nervous system, under that the autonomic neural system, there are two types. One is sympathetic and another is the parasympathetic neural system. So the sympathetic neural system will work at the time of emergency. Okay, so at the time of emergency, the sympathetic nervous system works, and whenever we are in the normal situation, that means we are in the resting situation, then the parasympathetic nervous system works. Next one, this cranial nerve and spinal nerves, these are the two types of somatic neural system. So you can see the nerves that will arise, okay, from the brain. What we can call, they are called as the cranial nerves. So these are the cranial nerves. This is brain, this is spinal cord. Now the spinal nerves that will be arising from the spinal cord. Okay, so that will be the spinal nerves. So these are the spinal nerves. I have shown this. Now the sympathetic and parasympathetic neural system, where it will go. Okay, so just see, with this somatic neural system, the sympathetic and parasympathetic neural system makes synapses. Okay, so suppose these are the nerves, cranial nerves, whether it is cranial nerve or spinal nerves, the sympathetic and parasympathetic neural system that will make association, or this will be the synapses with which the somatic neural system associated with the autonomic neural system. Okay, so what are they? These are either sympathetic, okay, either it is sympathetic, so this will be sympathetic, and this will be the parasympathetic. So either sympathetic or parasympathetic type of nervous actually these are nothing but the nerves. So how many sympathetic nerves we have? We are going to have 21 pairs of sympathetic nerves arising from the this somatic neural system, and there are 7 pairs of parasympathetic nerves. They will arise also from the somatic neural system. So these are the broadly, we can divide the nerve or the nervous system, that can be broadly divided into CNS and PNS. Okay, CNS is nothing but brain and spinal cord. PNS instead, it is the autonomic neural system and somatic neural system. This ANS, which is once again divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic, and then the somatic neural system, these are once again two. One is the cranial nerves and another is the spinal nerves. So these are the types of neural system. We will start from the central nervous system. So let's just start from the central nervous system. So in the central nervous system, what we have? The brain. So we will start our proceed the next part of the neural system from the brain. Then after that we will see the spinal cord. That is not given in your NCERT fully, but we will still see some of the part of it. Then after that we'll move to the somatic and the autonomic neural system. So let's just start with the brain. So just see, let's just start the brain. Before that I will tell you that if it comes to the nervous system in the animal kingdom, it was first arose in the animal that is one phylum, that is Coelenterata. Right from the coelentrates, the nervous system in the form of the apolar neurons, the nervous system start. Then after that, gradually in the time of evolution, during the course of evolution, the nervous systems become more and more complex, and how the cephalization, the brain starts to develop. So this is the first thing you need to know, that the neural system first developed in the phylum Coelenterata. Before that, the phylum Porifera. You just need to know, this is a very important point. That's why the Poriferans are grouped under the subkingdom Parazoa. The reason is this nervous system is absent in the phylum Porifera. So first of all, see, in case of the brain, we will discuss human brain only, right? So first of all, if it comes to the brain, remember the brain is the organ after the heart. Heart is the first organ to be formed, but later on the brain start to develop. First of all, brain and spinal cord develop, and gradually the other organs will be formed. So the brain is the organ which is formed in the earliest period of the gestation period, and it will continue developing up to the 18 years. Okay, after birth up to the 18 years, the brain will continue to develop. Okay, so this is how it will take more and more time. It will take around 19 years to form. Before birth, this will start to form, and after birth also up to the 18 years, this will still goes on more and more convolutions, and brain start to develop. Okay, and most completion of most of the development will be up to the 18 years. Okay, so the brain, which is the weight, what is the weight of the brain? This is around 1.5 kg. It's not around 1.5, but yes, around 3 kg. Okay, what is the cranial capacity of human? Cranial capacity of human is around 1300 cc, cubic centimeter. Next one, if it comes to our brain only, the brain increase our surface area. Remember one thing, the brain is not a smooth surface. Okay, to increase the surface area, brain have number of convolutions so that the brain can accommodate maximum neuron. Suppose if you see, we have already got it in the digestive system, that what happens to the intestine. In the small intestine we have the villi, so that absorption can be possible. In case of brain also, the brain is going to have some convolutions, that means invaginations and depressions. Reason is so that it can accommodate maximum neuron in it. Okay, so yes, to increase the surface area, okay, the brain undergoes convolutions. Convolutions means some depressions. Okay, sometimes some of the depressions are so hard that the brain gets divided into lobes. We will see all those kinds of lobes. Now the next thing you need to know, that if it comes to our brain, this brain is protected by how many things that is protecting the brain? There are two parts. First of all, the cranial bones. We know already the cranial bones are present. And second thing, what we have, the membrane, that is called as meninges. Okay, we have some meninges. They are going to present just behind the cranial bones, and it is going to protect the brain from any type of external injury. So let us see what are they. First of all, yeah, so more points about the brain, that we are having 1.3 kgs, but we are not feeling that 1.3 kgs of brain. We are taking this heavy load. The reason is, inside the brain we have a fluid. What is that fluid represent? We have a type of fluid which will carry the nutrients and the gases, that is called as CSF. And where the CSF is present, it is present in some hollow spaces of our brain, that is called as brain ventricles. Okay, so it is the brain which is a hollow structure. Why it is called as the hollow structure? Because it is not compact from inside completely. Our brain have holes in it. It's not fully compact. It is having the holes, and within the holes the CSF is present. And we know already in the earlier videos I have already told that who produces CSF? It is the ependymal cells. So ependymal cells will produce the CSF, and it is present in the holes of the brain, and the holes of the brain are called as the brain ventricles. Remember, this is called as brain ventricles. The meaning of ventricle means it is the hollow spaces in the brain. Now the next thing you need to know, that if it comes to our brain, how many brain ventricles are present? There are 4 ventricles. Okay, so how many ventricles we have? 4 ventricles. 2 of them, they are present in the cerebrum. Then 1 is present in the diencephalon. Okay, and then the last one, this is present in the base of the pons veroli and the floor of the that means the roof of the medulla oblongata. We can say pons veroli, where the brain ventricle, the 4th ventricle, is present. So this is the brain where we have the empty spaces. They are called as the brain ventricles. We have 4 brain ventricles. So let us start the structure. So yes, we are discussing the first thing, that is the brain meninges. Okay, the protection. So first of all, just see if it is the brain here. Okay, if I need to draw the brain like this, so brain is going to have number of convolutions. Okay, so these are the convolutions. That means the depressions, elevations, they are present, right? Now the next thing, the brain, they are attached so closely to the brain. What we have, one lining of the meninges. Okay, what is this called? That is the innermost lining. What we can call, this is called as the pia mater. P-I-A-M-A-T-E-R, pia mater. Then the middle layer, that will be called as the middle layer. This is actually the meninges itself. 3 meninges will form the whole meninges. So 3 meninges. The middle one is called as arachnoid. And the outermost layer, okay, what is that called? This will be called as the dura mater. M-A-T-E-R. M-A-T-E-R stands for its mother. Okay. Now the mother means it is going to protect the brain from the external injuries. And these three membranes, these are the three submembranes which will form the meninges here. Okay, so we are discussing the meninges, and outside what we have the skull. Here what we are going to have the cranial bones. So these are the cranial bones present. Okay, so this is the cranial bones. So this is the cranium. Okay, so what we have seen that the meninges is divided into three sublayers: outer dura-mater, middle arachnoid, and inner pia-mater. If you see the meaning of dura-mater, dura stands for durable, mater means it's the thick and tough matter, means it is going to protect the brain. Obviously it is avascular. Okay, it's the thick layer. Okay, it's the thick layer. It is avascular, and remember one thing, that if it is dura-mater, it is made up of the collagen fiber. Okay, so this is the dura-mater which is in the connection with the cranium. Next one, the second one, that is the arachnoid. This arachnoid is actually, this is like the spiral web. It is in the formation of some web-like structures. It is a vascular layer which have the blood vessels innervates into the arachnoid. And the last one, that is the pia-mater. Okay, so this is the innermost layer which is in the, this pia stands for soft, so it is the soft layer. Okay, it's the innermost layer. So yes, it is vascular also. And next thing, it will also secrete CSF. Remember, it is also going to secrete CSF. But yes, inside the brain ventricles we have one cell that is called this ependymal cell, which will also secrete CSF. Okay, so this is the pia-mater which is in the close connection with the brain. Now if you see the brain in this meninges region, it's not the three layers tightly attaching to each other. Yes, we have some space in between the three layers, right? So what are the layers? First of all, this is the space between dura-mater and arachnoid. This is called as the subdural space. So this is called as the subdural space. And the space between the arachnoid and the pia-mater, this is called as the subarachnoidal space. Okay, so we have two spaces here. One is subdural space and another is the subarachnoidal space, right? Now, to avoid friction or to give a cushion-like consistency, what happens? The subdural space and subarachnoidal space, they are filled with liquid also. In the subdural space, we are going to have some fluid that is called as the serous fluid. And if it is in case of subarachnoidal space, it is filled with another fluid, that is the CSF, that is the cerebrospinal fluid, which is produced by the arachnoid. This is produced by the pia-mater. Okay, so this is about the protection. See, the brain is protected by so many layers. First of all, what we have, hair. So beneath the hair, what we have, the skin. After that, beneath we have the skull. Inside the skull, first of all we'll see the dura-mater, then arachnoid, then pia-mater, then the brain, right? So this is about the protection of the brain we have seen. After that, the real part will come, that is the structure and the function of the brain. So let's just start the structure of the brain first. Okay, so first, if it comes to the brain basically is divided into three parts. All of us, we know what are they: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, right? So let's just see these parts. Okay, so first of all, I already have told you that it's different convolutions are there so that we can accommodate maximum neuron in it. And yes, as much as the larger brain would be, we will become more and more intelligent, because yes, we have more space in that region and we can accommodate neurons in it. So more and more convolutions will occur. Okay, but it's not possible that we can use all of the intelligence. It's not possible for us. So whatever the space will be present, if it's just less or more, we are going to utilize only that much of intelligence or that much part of the brain only. So see, suppose this is the brain. So in this brain, what we have, the first part, this up to this, okay, this part, this is called as the forebrain. Okay, so this part I'm drawing here. Okay, so these are number of convolutions present. Okay, so this will be the, here also we have numbers of convolutions, so this will be called as the forebrain. Okay, next one, here we are going to have the next part, which is the smallest part of your brain. So what is this? This will be called as the midbrain. So midbrain is very small part, so but midbrain is also going to have very interesting part. It's also having two parts in it, and the last part, this is called as the hind brain. So this is the hind brain. You can see this is the hind brain. So in the hind brain, first of all, we have once again three parts. So here also we have some convolutions. Okay, and this is the spinal cord. So this is the hind brain. Okay, so after that we will see in this how many things are present. Okay, so first of all, if it is the forebrain have numbers of parts in it. Okay, so what are they? First of all, the forebrain, maximum part is covered by the cerebrum. So this is the cerebrum. Then here in this region, what we are going to have, sorry, this is not exactly like this, a little smaller it will be. Okay, it will be a little smaller. This will be our midbrain, and here this is actually one connection. Okay, so this is the connection, it's present like this. So this will be called as diencephalon. So in this forebrain we have cerebrum, then diencephalon, and yes, we will not see from outside, but yes, we are going to have the olfactory lobes in it. Okay, so this olfactory lobes are present here. It's very small, but we cannot able to visualize it. It's present inside. Now this next one, that is the midbrain. So in this midbrain, actually how many things are there? So let me draw properly. Here we are going to have four lobes. Okay, that is called as corpora, quadrigemina. Next one, from here some tracts are arising. They are called as crura cerebri. Okay, so in this midbrain, though it is the smallest part, it's going to have some parts in it. What are they? Yeah, it's not visible. Let me draw here. This will be called as corpora quadrigemina. Okay, this is corpora quadrigemina. Okay, next one, here some tracts are arising. That will be called as crura cerebri, right? Now the last part is the hind brain. In the hind brain we have three parts. What are they? First of all, this part will be the pons veruli. So this will be the pons veruli, right? Next one, here what we are going to have, this part will be medulla oblongata, and last part, this part, here also like the cerebrum, it is going to have convolutions in it. That will be called as the cerebrum like, so it is called as cerebellum. Okay, so this is the structure of brain roughly from outside. Now after that we will see part by part the different parts of the cerebrum, then the olfactory lobe, then the diencephalon, then after that we will go on. So first of all, this is the brain. So where does the ventricle present? What I said, that in the forebrain, in the cerebrum region, the two cerebrums we have, we will come to that. We have two ventricles. In the diencephalon, we have the third ventricle, and in the pons veruli, we have the fourth ventricle. So how many ventricles we have? Four. Two cerebral hemisphere, the two parts of the cerebrum have two ventricles. Diencephalon have another ventricle, and pons veruli will have the third ventricle. So this is the type parts of the brain. Then after that, you can see we will start from the cerebrum. Okay, So let's just start from the cerebrum. So cerebrum is also going to have some parts. Okay, so it is going to be divided into some lobes. Okay, so first of all, what we have, the frontal lobe. Okay, above what we have, the parietal lobe. This is the parietal lobe. Here we have the temporal lobe. Okay, this is the temporal lobe, and this part, this will be called as the occipital lobe. So let's just concentrate on only the cerebrum. So after that we'll come to each and every part of the brain. So first of all, we are starting the cerebrum. I hope you will not forget this diagram. This is going to be important. Okay, so let's just start it. I will rub this part and draw only the cerebrum. So I have shown here only the cerebrum. So first of all, whenever it comes to the cerebrum, let me show you. The cerebrum is it's present here. Okay. The cerebrum, I have already told you, it is going to have convolutions. Convolutions means some depressions, elevations are present so that we can accommodate maximum neuron. The elevations are called as gyri and the depressions are called as sulci or sulcus. Singular, it is sulcus. So sometime during this convolution, some of the sulcus, that means some of the depressions are so deep that it can divide the brain parts into some lobes, right? So just see, similar thing is happening to the cerebrum also, that this cerebrum, which is the largest part of the brain itself, the largest part of the forebrain also. So what is happening, that the cerebrum, one of us, this is suppose the cerebrum, one of a sulcus is deep, so deep that it can divide the brain into two parts. So these two parts are called as the cerebral hemisphere. So if you can remember, we are going to have the sulcus, and that sulcus is called as longitudinal sulcus. So longitudinal is present this way. So that's why we are going to have two parts. They are called as cerebral hemisphere. So two cerebral hemisphere are going to form the cerebrum, right? Now the next thing, that if it comes to the cerebral hemisphere, they are divided. So how is it completely divided, or it's going to have connection? Yes, it is going to have connection in it. So what are the connections? See, from front side it is having two parts. Okay, but from the posterior region, if you see, there is one connection. My thumb will designate this connection, and this connection will be your one part. That part I have drawn here. So what is this? This structure is going to connect both the two cerebral hemisphere. So what is this? This will be called as the corpus callosum. Okay, so what I had told here about the cerebrum, that it is the largest part, and we are going to have two cerebral hemisphere separated by, how it will be separated? Separated by longitudinal fissure. Okay, so we have the longitudinal fissure, which is going to divide the cerebrum into two halves. Their cerebral hemisphere. Both the two cerebral hemisphere will be connected by this corpus callosum. Okay. Now the same way, the longitudinal sulcus we are going to have more sulcuses, isn't that? So what are the sulcuses here? These are one of a sulcus, lateral sulcus, then temporoparietal, then here also occipital. So this is how actually we can have the each of the cerebral hemisphere is going to have some lobes. How many lobes are there? 4 lobes are there. This part we will have frontal. So in each of the cerebral hemisphere I will show here. I have drawn here only one part. So that's why what I will show, that it's only one part. That means two cerebral hemisphere will have two frontal lobes. So we have 8 lobes in the cerebrum. One cerebral hemisphere will have 4 lobes. What are they? One frontal lobe, then one temporal lobe, one parietal lobe, and one occipital lobe. Okay, so first of all, we are going to have frontal lobe. Above what we have, the temporal lobe. These are the two parietal lobes. So these are the two parietal lobes above. Just here on this region we have the next lobe. What is that lobe here? Temporal. So above parietal, below temporal, and on the back side what we have? The occipital lobe. In each cerebral hemisphere we have frontal, parietal, temporal and occipital lobes. Okay. So all of these lobes are performing something, and the most important function which is related to our intelligence, creativity, calculations, everything, okay, that will be there in the frontal lobe. So here this two part will decide your intelligence. So this is the frontal lobe, which is the center for intelligence, then thinking, speaking, memory, then movement, creativity, calculation, judgment, then moral sense, everything that will be located in the frontal lobes. Second thing, what we are going to have the parietal lobes here on this side. These two are the parietal lobes. So this parietal lobes, these are going to control the language, then touch, sensory and reception. Okay, next one is the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe will control the hearing, then learning, then feeling. This type of senses are controlled by the this temporal lobe. Okay, then after that the occipital lobe, which is present on our back, which is going to control our vision, then color reception. So that's why it is said that whenever we are hurt in this behind region, what can happen, that our sight we can completely get blind. The reason is here in the occipital lobe we are going to have the center for the vision and color reception. This is because of the presence of this center, vision center. Actually these are the reception of color and vision that will be all present, situated in the occipital lobe, right? So that is about the first part, that is the frontal part, forebrain, that is going to have cerebrum in it. Now the next part I will tell here. What is this? See, in this forebrain itself, what I had said, that first of all we have the cerebrum, then after that we are also going to have the next part. Suppose this is the brain, this is the nose. Okay, okay, so here this is the nasal chamber. Here we have the brain, that is the forebrain itself. So this is, here we are going to have the forebrain. Now there is another lobe present. What is that? That is the olfactory lobe. So here we are going to have a very small spoon like or club like lobe present. What is that? This will be the olfactory lobe. So this olfactory lobe, okay, this olfactory lobe is going to have two parts. So what are the two parts? One is the olfactory bulb and then the olfactory tract. So from this some nerves, they will arise, okay, and those nerves that will be there coming to the membrane, nasal epithelium. What is that? This will be to nasal epithelium of the nasal chamber. Okay, so this is about the olfactory lobe present in the forebrain. Now the next part, what we will see, the third part, what we have, the diencephalon. Okay, so where does the diencephalon present? It is present just behind the corpus callosum. Okay, so this corpus callosum also have two parts. One is the genu. Okay, frontal, this is the ventral region. In the ventral region we have the genu or genu you can say, and posteriorly what we have, the splenium. Okay, this is not there in the NCERT, but if you can remember, it's better. So this is the diencephalon. Diencephalon is divided into three parts. What are they? First part, this is called as the epithalamus. Okay, second one, this is called as the thalamus, and the last part, this is called as the hypothalamus. Okay, so the diencephalon, suppose this is the diencephalon. So this diencephalon is going to have three parts: epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. So here these are the two large lobes we have. These are called as the thalamic nuclei. So these thalamic nuclei are present in this region of the thalamus. Epithalamus have no more functions in the sensory function. We can say on that is not having any neural function. It's having only one function. This is along with the pia matter, it will going to secrete the CSF. Okay, that is the function of this epithalamus. Next one, hypothalamus. You can see, you can remember that on the base, whenever we have discussed the locomotion and movement chapter, I have told you that in this region, what we have, one very important gland, that is the pituitary gland. So this pituitary gland is present in the base of the hypothalamus. So this hypothalamus is present just above the pituitary gland and is going to connect with the pituitary gland by means of a stalk, and that stalk is called as infundibulum. Okay, so what are the functions of each of the parts? First of all, if it comes to the epithalamus have one function, that is going to secrete CSF with pia matter. Okay, second thing, thalamus, it is going to have two large thalamic nuclei. It is going to have number of function. It is going to act as a relay center. I will tell you in later part. Then after that, hypothalamus, it is going to have number of other functions too. So first of all, it's going to connect the pituitary gland. Then, so how many parts are there in this? Okay, hypothalamus. This hypothalamus are going to connect with the pituitary gland by means of a stalk called infundibulum. Now this hypothalamus, which is having some another functions also, that it is going to regulate our temperature. Okay, so how it will regulate our temperature? It will cause thermostat of our body, or it will be also called as a thermoregulator. So how it will control? Suppose we have more temperature, then what will happen? It will cause sweating. Okay, so it will have control over sweating also. Next one, our hunger is controlled by the also hypothalamus. Our thirst, that we are thirsty, how can we understand? Because hypothalamus is there. Okay, so after the food, suppose we have taken, after that suppose we are having the feeling of fullness, that will be also give an indication. Who is going to give this indication? That is the hypothalamus. After that, suppose after the lunch we are get satisfied. Suppose after taking the sweet, we know that one thing that's not related to this part, that whenever there is a good news or some good thing is happening, then we always give sweets, mumitha. So what actually is that? The sweetness, this sweet taste actually will cause a type of neurotransmitter that is called as endorphin. And endorphin is released by this sense of taking the sweetness in our mouth, right? So this is actually the cause of happiness whenever we take some sweet taste in our mouth. Okay, so yes, whenever we get satisfied, then this center for satiety is also there in the hypothalamus, and also it will control the sexual desires also. So these are all controlled by, see, it will connect to the pituitary gland, it will cause thermostat, it is going to have sweat center, thirst center, hunger center, satiety center, and also cause sexual desire. So what is that? These are the parts of the diencephalon. So what we have discussed, that here in the brain we are going to have this forebrain. First part, in the forebrain we have the largest part, that is the cerebrum. In the cerebrum we have three parts, that are the forebrain have three parts: cerebrum, First cerebrum, then the olfactory lobes, then after that we have the diencephalon. In the cerebrum we have 4 lobes. First of all, cerebrum is divided into two broad parts. They are called as two cerebral hemisphere. In each cerebral hemisphere we have 4 lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe and occipital lobe. So this is all up to the first part. In the next video we will tell you about the midbrain and the hindbrain. So that's all about the first part of the brain. I hope you understand. Thank you.